Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to be right back with this week's special guest, but as always, we want to give a shout out to our great sponsors. Now, you've heard me say before, these are all great companies. I used them as an AD. You should be using them too. So take 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our special episode, then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. Hey, we want to say thanks to our good friends at Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their products in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made as an AD. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that live web demo today. We also want to say thank you to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an AD, I made sure our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents just love the platform. Go to huddle.com, join the millions of users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. That's huddle.com. We also want to thank Home Campus. Scheduling, rosters, results, facilities, eligibility. Home Campus does all of these things and more, and does it better and faster than the other platforms. Go to homecampus.com. Find out all the things that they can do for you and your program. It's homecampus.com. We also want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame and their content creation service called Beacon Creative. Now, Wall of Fame has been helping schools bring their legacy to life for over a decade, but Beacon Creative takes it to a new level. Their team of writers and creators are going to come up with compelling stories that use your history, your coaches, your kids to allow you to post on your social media platform. You really got to see it to believe it. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com and click on Content Services. You're going to be glad you did. Let's say thanks to Gipper. Gipper makes it easy for your athletic department to look like it's Division I, look like it's professional. Use their professionally designed templates to promote your program. There's thousands of them, and you can customize them with your colors, your logos, your brand. Create, share, and schedule all your social media on one simple platform, and that platform is Gipper. Go to Gipper.com to get started, and make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to say thanks to Booster Hub, the #1 Booster Club software program. You know, if you have concession sales, if you have sponsorship fees, if you do volunteer signups, you know everything's going to change. So Booster Hub's platform tracks it all. Nothing falls through the cracks. Everybody stays connected. Simplify your communications. Build groups like parent, student, varsity. Send important messages. Use chat for parent engagement. Give your boosters the platform they need. Give them the platform they deserve. And that platform is Booster Hub. We also want to thank Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's through the Ohio program, but my assistant athletic director did, along with thousands of others, and it was a great experience. Find a program that's affordable. Find a program that's rated #1, the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration. We also want to say thank you to Hometown. Hometown continues to be a leader in education-based athletics with their solutions that include things like, well, digital ticketing, of course, but how about fee-free fundraising, athletic website construction? The Hometown list just goes on and on. Whether you're a principal, an athletic director, even a head coach, they're going to show you how to save time. They're going to show you how to raise more money, and they're going to show you how to bring your community together. You'll find it all at hometown.com. And finally, we want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. If you're not using a survey to take the pulse of your student athletes, your coaches, how about your parents, you're missing out on a great opportunity. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that really connects you to every one of your stakeholders. That's athleticsurveys.com. And as always, tell our sponsors you heard about it on the Educational AD Podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. This is episode number 3 in a series presented by one of our regulars, Scott Battas. If you're new to this, I encourage you to go back and listen to the first 2 installments. But Scott is a certified master athletic administrator. He's the director of athletics at Muscuda High School, very active at the state level, the national level. And as I said, he's basically a regular on our podcast. He just does some great stuff. This series is one that Scott has put together to help you as an athletic director establish and nurture your very own student-athlete leadership team. If you missed the first 2 segments, I encourage you to go back and take a listen. But as I mentioned, this is episode number 3. Scott, again, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to share with our listeners. What do you have for them on this episode of how to put together a student-athlete leadership team?
Yeah, Jake, thanks again for having me, and for all of those listening. Hopefully you've been able to take something from the first 2 episodes to kind of apply to your own programs. And I'll tell you, what I'd like to do is give you, some ways to establish not only a leadership program, but some background that you need to apply to your program to effectively do so. And I think that's important, instead of just giving everyone the step-by-step method of just, here's how you establish a program, just like I have. I want to give you some ways to think about what your program stands for, what it stands on, and be able to kind of develop your leadership program from there. Last time I talked about creating a culture, and I think, the most important thing you can do at your school is create a culture. And I will tell you, I do believe deep down inside that, and I wholeheartedly believe that an athletic director can be the most influential person in a community. And you need to take that burden upon yourself to kind of filter that through your programs, which in turn will make your programs very influential in your community too. And that will be a whole nother topic. We'll talk about how, we can use our programs to influence special things in your community, as we try to do here at Muscuda. But I do think that alongside culture, establishing a culture, the second most important thing you can do to figure out how to establish a legitimate leadership program is figure out what your standards are. And the easiest way that I can explain standards and the significance of them is when I think back to what the Masters golf tournament represents. And you think that's odd that I bring up, one of the special sporting events in our country. Probably some of the, I would say, if you talk about the top 7 or 8 sporting events, the Masters is certainly one of those things that kicks off spring and everybody's in a good mood and the weather's changing and the flowers are blooming and the Masters comes on TV. You start seeing the commercials during the Final Four and all of those things. But the significance of the Masters, when I watch it, is how well orchestrated their standard is in that tournament, regardless of circumstance. If you buy a ticket to the Masters, you have to understand a couple things. No cell phones, no cameras. You have to follow a dress code. No noise, no running, no autographs. They have a list of rules that you get when you buy a ticket to the Masters. And the reality is, if you get caught not following those rules, you are no longer allowed to attend the Masters. You're immediately removed from the premises. And why is this? Well, they established a standard a long time ago, and they never wavered. And it's maintained the same standard throughout its history. And what it proves to me is it's one of the most viewed sporting events of the year. It's one of the most well-attended sporting events of the year. Is if we want to do something bad enough, if there's something that we believe in so much or we like so much, we're willing to do anything we can to take part in it. I think that's the type of standard that your athletic program needs to establish. And once you're able to establish that type of structure and that type of standard, the rest starts to really take care of itself. You're writing your own leadership program whenever you've established a standard that's the expectation. What I will tell you in closing while speaking about the Masters is that Augusta has decided that it has a standard. And so does winning. And so does success. They have a standard. And if you can't adhere to those standards, you cannot completely immerse yourself in a successful program. And I think that is probably the most significant thing I've seen with programs that tend to fall apart and drift away from what they want to stand for is they don't stick to the standard. And even here at Muscuda, I find ourselves once in a while drifting away from that standard. And you have to, as a leader, reel it back in. I think our leadership program has given me a great reason every other week to reestablish our standard. And I think that's something that your leadership program can truly do for you. And what I mean by that is if you are a task oriented leader, you're going to continually set yourself tasks to make your program better all the time, because I think it's constantly evolving. If you want your programs to thrive, you got to continue to add, you've got to continue to innovate, you've got to continue to give your athletes and coaches reasons to believe you care about them and their programs. And your weeks and your days and your years are made up of hundreds and thousands of moments. And what I encourage our coaches and athletes to do is to waste as few as possible. Now, to think that we're not going to waste any moments throughout the day is crazy, right? I tell our kids all the time, when we're walking down the hallway and we're not thinking ahead to what we're doing, we're wasting that moment. Now, it's going to happen, and that's okay. The most effective leaders in the world still waste some moments in a day. But the people that are capable of wasting the least amount of moments are the ones that are going to have the most success. So when you establish your leadership program, the first thing you need to do is understand, what is your standard? What is your standard going to be? And how do I implement that into the early stages of my leadership program? So when my kids go through this, they understand that the expectation, the standard is that they return and they come back and they study and they take the knowledge they're getting from those and believing that you as a leader are giving them tools to be successful. Because if they don't believe that, they're just showing up as an empty suit, and they're going to leave just understanding that they listened to a spiel for 20 minutes that they're expected to listen to, and then they're going to carry on with the day the way they planned on doing it before. My purpose as a leader is to, when those kids roll out of bed every single Wednesday morning, they're supposed to be here early, they feel like they've accomplished something in that moment. I'm rolling out of bed because I'm going to go make myself better. And while I might not believe everything Coach Battas says to me in this meeting, or I might not be the type of wear my energy on my sleeve type of person that he is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit myself to trying to find something this morning before school ever starts that can help get me through my day and make my day better. And then in turn, carrying that into their practice, into their games in the afternoon, and making their teams better. And the more kids that we get that are taking things from their day that I will say the normal student won't take, and interjecting those in to their practices and in their programs, just the more the more energy and the more attitude. And we talked about toughness, all the things that you're going to see in your programs. Now, it's the coach's responsibilities not only to help to attend these meetings as well, but to continue to regurgitate the things that they feel like they can establish. And my intent is not to affect every program the same. It's not even to affect every single coach the same way, because every coach has their own philosophy. Every coach has their own standard, and every coach develops the way they want to go about their business. But we're a partnership in this. I'm a partnership with the coaches. The coaches are a partnership with me. And then our kids are partnerships with all of us. And they have to be able to establish, or they're invested in partnerships with all of us. And the more they believe that you have their best interests in mind, the better the results. Remember, kids have so many things going on these days. There's so many different things they're taking part in during the day. They're getting roped into during the day. Their cell phones are the biggest distraction. Their groups that they feel like they need to be a part in. What's your job to do as a leader is to give them strategies to cope when things might not be going as well as they hoped. And hopefully the things that we give them are pulling them away from the negative things that they're getting involved in and giving them a reason to be successful in their moments and not wasting parts of their day. I think that's all important, especially when you establish, again, a standard that your program is going to be about, and then you're getting kids to want to be a part of that standard. Ultimately, making sure and holding their friends accountable within their programs that they're following the standard too. And I talk to them all the time. It's really, really hard when you're at these parties and you're doing these things outside of school when there's nobody there to hold you accountable. Who's going to be the leader in our program to hold your buddies accountable whenever you need them to have a successful season? It's you. And you have to figure out, if you're going to be a leader, you're going to have to make tough decisions on how you want to carry yourself through those moments. And it's important to us that our leadership program establishes those principles that we expect our kids to bring with them in the most challenging of times. And it's more challenging now than it's ever been to be a kid, which makes it more challenging for us on how to give them the tools to navigate being in a tougher environment than we've ever been in. And so you got to work at it, and we got to work at it together. And hopefully I can be a resource. Our coaches can be a resource, and all of you can be a resource. And we can, we go to these conferences and we go to national conventions, and we put ourselves in these rooms with other leaders like us. What have you had success doing, and how can I pass that on to my program so that we can have success? Again, we all make each other better. When we do one thing, let's not as a profession, let's not get jealous, or let's not make fun of leaders that are doing things that maybe we haven't done yet. Let's figure out how it can make us better. Let's borrow the things that we can interject in our programs to make them better and do them together. And at the end of the day, we're making our profession better. And that's where all of this leads to at the end of the day.
Wow. I mean, that's a workshop right there. And again, so very important. Talking about, and you see it a lot now, average programs have rules, successful programs have standards. And, you know how important it is that, the AD is setting the tone. He's helping construct that culture, but the coaching staff, they've got to be on board. I would use the expression at our school, hey, this is how we roll. Okay, this is how we do things, and we would, share that message with our student athlete leaders. Because again, if the students haven't bought in, it's going to be a hard journey. But I just love it. Great stuff, Scott. Thanks so much for sharing. As always, we are going to continue this series next week with another step in the process. But if one of our listeners is impatient, they want to reach out and connect, ask you some more questions, what's the best way that our listeners can get a hold of Scott Battas?
Yeah, you can catch me on email. My email is my last name with an extra S, BATTASS @msd19.org. Love getting emails from other athletic directors or anyone for that matter that wants to learn more about what we do, and potentially I'll pick your brain for some things you do and continue to make our programs better via other people's as well.
All right. And again, for our listeners, this is the third installment of an ongoing series. And if you're new to the podcast, go back and look at our Spotify archives. Check out Scott's previous submissions, going all the way back to his interview. I think that was in season 3. But he's been back a number of times, just does a tremendous job. Scott, thanks as always. Looking forward to the next installment.
Thanks very much, Jake.
For our listeners, we want to say thanks to you and just remind you that we upload the Zoom recordings of every episode to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this just about every day. We try to share stories and best practices from the world of athletics. So please come back and join us again on the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Once again, before we go, hey, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors. You know them, go and visit them, and please tell them you heard about it on the Educational AD Podcast. Hometown, you find them at hometown.com. Sideline Interactive, that's sidelineinteractive.com. Athletic Surveys, athleticsurveys.com. Huddle, I used them as a football coach. As an AD, we were a Huddle school. Go to huddle.com. Ohio University and their online masters. Check out Ohio University. Gipper, go to gipper.com. Booster Hub, the #1 Booster Club software program. And Home Campus, go to homecampus.com. And Vital Signs Wall of Fame, you'll find them at vitalsignswalloffame.com. Thanks again for listening to this segment. Please come back and join us again on the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast.